Well, do Mike's, and I'll tell you what he's got to do.
What do you mean do Mike's? Do his intro?
Just introduce him real quick, yeah.
Darth Slowbrom, Mike Bradley.
Okay, that's your name. Like, if you can't riff off that, I don't know what you want. You're not even getting a fun name. Like, that's your literal name.
It's not my name. It's not my name.
It's your gamer tag, and then
It is not my gamer tag.
It's your full Christian name.
It is not my gamer tag. That is not my gamer tag.
What is your gamer tag? I thought that's what that was.
There's no M.
Who's telling me?
Wait, and what, Mike?
Darth Slowbrom, Mike Bradley.
Ike Bradley from Mike.
I like that a lot. Do that.
Ike
Even
Bradley.
drop the B. Call him Ike Radley.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and his Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is Andy, spoiler alert, Stoltz,
What's up, podcast people?
Darth Slowbro, Mike Bradley.
You actually got it right. That's great.
I almost fucked it up again.
That's okay.
We also got Mr. Fleshlung, Josh Zorich.
Apparently, you're not allowed to know what that is.
They may or may not know. We'll find out later.
Yeah.
I'll decide on editing.
Well, good to be back, though.
And Grimbear, the War Priest, Ian Leidick.
Hey guys, so I need you to know right now, you go to youtube.com/oxhorn, and that is where you'll find my adventures as Grimbear, the War Priest. I am playing D20, that is right, D20 game over on youtube.com/oxhorn, where my character Grimbear, the War Priest, leads a party of other adventurers, because of course the War Priest is the leader. And most recently we have taken on a mithril raven.
A mithril raven?
Raven.
Raven?
My character can't pronounce raven. Reverend.
Is he Dutch?
Raven.
No, Tet just did his
Raven.
teeth for him, and now he's all
Raven?
kind of fucked up.
Wavering.
Wyvern.
Wyvern?
Weavern.
Faja?
I don't know what's happening.
This is kind of the comedy you get when you watch Grimbear and War Priest in his
I'm
party
still
of
confused
plucky
about how it
adventurers.
pronounces mithril correctly, but can't get raven.
Raven.
So, Brian, what's on today's show?
Yeah, so moving on. So, I guess if you've been listening to the last couple episodes, we've covered a lot of video game stuff recently, which isn't exactly in Josh's wheelhouse. So, we sort of planned this around like, Josh, what do you want to talk about?
Things.
And we got some topics for you. And, of course, but we also did add a video game-related topic at the end, so we'll get to that when we get there. So, we can't avoid them all. We'll have one that hopefully works for Josh. So we're going to talk about a couple DC rumors, a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and again, the video game stuff we'll save for the end. So kicking us off, one of the DC movies that has been stuck in development hell for the better part of the last 4 years is The Flash, which could continue to star Ezra Miller in the role. So the original release date for this movie was way back in March 2018. That was when it was supposed to come out. Originally it had, and I'm going to sort of go through a little bit of history here. Originally it had Seth Grahame-Smith attached to direct and write the screenplay. He was working off of a treatment from Phil Lord and Chris Miller. In April of 2016, Grahame-Smith left because of creative differences. Next,
Has he done anything I would know?
I actually forgot to look up the IMDb for him. I don't.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I've never heard of him
Feel free
before,
to
so
check
I
it
didn't-
out, and you can chime in if you see it while I'm reading through this. Next up, we had Rick Famuyiwa. He left in October 2016 due to creative differences. Over the next year and a half, there would be a bunch of other rumored directors. Matthew Vaughn, Sam Raimi, Robert Zemeckis. I think we even talked about the Zemeckis thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then in January 2018, John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, coming off of writing Spider-Man Homecoming, became attached to direct the project. Cut to March of 2019, and it's reported that Daley and Goldstein have some creative differences with Ezra Miller and their ideas for the script. Daley and Goldstein took a more lighthearted approach to the film. Miller wanted something darker. I think we talked about this at the time, too, because Ezra Miller then went on to write his own version of the script and got the help of comic book writer Grant Morrison to try to help him. And they were going to submit their script to Warner Brothers to compare to whatever Daley and Goldstein had. It was reported at the time that if the studio stuck with Daley and Goldstein's script, that Miller might lose the role. He might not be able to play Barry Allen if they went that direction. But since then, it's been reported that Warner Brothers did not use Miller's script. However, they still decided to keep him on as Barry Allen. However, on the flip side of this caused Daley and Goldstein to then leave the project over, yep, you guessed it, creative differences. So, as of today, July 6, 2020, Andy Muschietti is attached to direct the film. So, Josh and Mike, do you know who this director is?
Indeed.
You mean
Without looking him up.
Yeah.
Andy Muschietti?
Yes. Josh got this in the bag. What do you got?
It.
I have no...
Yes.
Oh.
He directed It and It
Is
Chapter
Muschietti
2.
the correct pronunciation
I don't
of
know.
that, or is that
That's
machete?
what it looks like.
I don't think it's Machete. That's a movie.
Actually, that's machete.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to have to look this
But
up.
I'm gonna give Brian the benefit of the doubt on this, though. I'm sure this could be pronounced like 5 different ways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pronouncing it how it looks like it's typed.
You should try and pronounce it how it's said.
Without someone telling me how it sounds, I don't know. So I that's my MO at this show. I just butcher everyone's name.
Andres Muschietti would be the Muschietti.
Muschietti. So there's no idiot.
Yeah. There's no Ieti there, no.
All right.
It's Muschietti.
All right, let's just point out that like 4 years ago, we reduced the one director to Denny V because we couldn't pronounce his name
Villeneuve.
correctly.
Yes, that's true. All right, so
But fair enough. Go ahead.
the story for this movie is still said to be Flashpoint. It's still supposed to be adapting the Flashpoint comic arc. Flashpoint's story, for anyone unfamiliar, has Barry Allen speeding back through time to prevent his mother's murder. When he comes back to the present, Superman is missing, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are at war, Bruce Wayne is murdered as a boy, which leads his father, Thomas Wayne, to become a gun-wielding version of Batman, and his mother, Martha Wayne, becomes the Joker. Now, that's a lot to unpack.
It is. I will say, I'll jump in real quick to say the first time. So I didn't know anything about the Flashpoint story until I watched the DC animated movie based on that they did.
Flashpoint Paradox, I think, is that one?
Yes. And that specific moment where you get the reveal that Martha Wayne becomes the Joker from going insane in the moment of watching her, small child be killed. I like lost it at that point. That was freaking genius to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great turn. I have a question on that. If any of us know, I don't personally know. Has Grant Morrison done any work on any Flashpoint stories or offshoots or anything like that?
I don't know.
That's a good point. I actually didn't look up who the writer of Flashpoint is, so I'm not sure. We can come back to that. If somebody wants to check that out, I'll keep going through my spiel here, and we'll come back around. Muschietti has already been quoted to saying that there will be a different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. So that kind of makes sense. They want to adapt something into a 2-hour movie. It's adapted from the story. They're not doing it page for page, which happens for movies all the time. And considering maybe the rumor we're going to talk about, maybe his quote makes a little bit more sense. So according to, they had a couple places that were reporting this. Hollywood Reporter, Entertainment Weekly, The Wrap, they're all reporting Michael Keaton is in talks to return as Batman for this movie.
What?
Now, from this point on, it's all kind of speculation. So you can sort of take this with a grain of salt. Maybe the reason that seeing Keaton in the role of Bruce Wayne Batman could make sense with Muschietti's quote is that Flashpoint may not give us an alternate timeline, but instead open up the multiverse to the movies. The Wrap's article on Keaton goes into this idea, meaning that every different version of a superhero could exist. So we could see Keaton reprising his role as Batman the one that he left behind in 1992 in Batman Returns. Now, on the flip side of that, and this is just purely my speculation, we don't have anything official one way or the other, but if the story sticks more closely to Flashpoint, could Keaton be playing Batman, just not his Batman? Maybe he's playing the Thomas Wayne version. And I know earlier, I think I've said that, Keaton could come back as Bruce Wayne / Batman, but depending on the article you read, some say Bruce Wayne, some say Batman. So it's really unclear what role he's playing, if he is being Bruce Wayne. I guess if they bill him as playing Batman, you could call that the Thomas Wayne version of Batman. If they specifically are saying he's Bruce Wayne, then it's got to be his 92 version of Bruce Wayne.
So in this, I had a moment when I heard about this, and I thought to myself about the Rick and Morty episode about the heists, where they go to Michael Keaton and they say, "Hey, we're doing this thing. We need you to come back as Batman." And he's like, "Don't tell me anymore, you son of a bitch, I'm in." And he goes to Val Kilmer, same thing. He goes to George Clooney, same thing. Because, like, if he comes back, can't they all come back?
Right, yeah, that's
They
the thing.
could,
If they
but
open
I
up the
don't want them
multiverse, yeah.
to.
I mean, this is...
Except for Ben Affleck. I want him to come back.
I mean, the multiverse is a way to explain why we're going to get Robert Pattinson's Batman alongside Michael Keaton's Batman, presumably at the same time.
Which would be fine. And honestly, I think if you even had a short moment where Affleck showed up again, because they have already appeared together on screen, and that would make sense. It would not be out of the ordinary.
Yes.
That I'd be all for that as well. My if I had to throw my guess into it, I would say he is playing Bruce Wayne. Forgive me if I'm jumping ahead because I don't know if this was part of the outline. But
I got nothing else, so the next is just like me throwing it to you guys, so whatever you want to spin to.
So, in a few different places, two or three different places on this story, I've heard that it is either being talked about or speculated that they may try to harness Keaton's version of Batman as a sort of Nick Fury type of gelling character across different DC movies, where he may not, like, that incarnation, I guess you're still going to get, like, this, obviously this Robert Pattinson version, but there might be a smaller to medium role that Batman plays across multiple stories, as opposed to just always having, like, a standalone arc or trilogy or something that he's a part of. And if that's the case, I don't think you're going to do that with a Thomas Wayne Flashpoint version.
Right.
He's in as that.
If it is Thomas Wayne, I guess I'm thinking that more of like a one-off thing. Like he would just appear in Flashpoint as Thomas Wayne, and that would be it.
Right, and I think that it's possible. I mean, depending on which way they want to go. I mean, if they ever wanted the idea, and it's been talked about for years, and I think it's more of a fan hope than anything else. If they ever wanted to do, like, either a good sort of Batman Beyond, or not necessarily like The Dark Knight Returns, but to have that older Bruce Wayne, like, set him up for that. Give him, I don't care, give Keaton one movie as, like a central older Batman. I don't care if there's, like, if he's what's the word I'm looking for? Training, finding Batgirl or a Robin or something. Like, he doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't need to be like
mentor.
Dark Knight Returns. Yes, cultivating that next thing. I would love that. If there's a path that, like, something like this starts to get us anywhere near that, I'm all for it.
Just give me the Batman Beyond movie. I've wanted that movie for years. If you get Keaton back to be an older Bruce Wayne, fucking do it.
And
so
one thing, real quick. So one thing I read from one of the sources was, if they go that route, then maybe you substitute, your that's how you curtail your Batgirl character in, perhaps, as opposed to him training like a Batman replacement. And then now you have your Batgirl character in this universe and can go from there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so for now it's all speculation.
It's all the articles are saying in talks, so there's nothing official.
Right. Well, but is it in talks to be Bruce Wayne / Batman?
That's what I
or
mean,
Is it
depending
in
on
talks
what
to
you-
appear in the movie?
They're all saying either Bruce Wayne or Batman. It's one of the two. I don't know if they are one
I
and
was
the
going to
same.
suggest like a Flashpoint kind of cheeky take on him turning up as Alfred.
Yeah, I think it's going to be less of a
Because
just like a cameo thing. I think it's going to be one of those roles.
it could be. But we don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's Flashpoint, so kind of things can go crazy.
Right.
So, and they can do their own take on it. Nothing says it has to follow, what happens with those characters. They could turn it on its head their own kind of way. The other thing that I was asking is that popped into my head was, do we actually have confirmation that Robert Pattinson is playing Bruce Wayne? We know he's Batman, but do we know he's not Tim Drake?
I don't know. I guess I kind of assumed that, but I don't know the stuff that, talking about the announcement of Robert Pattinson as Batman, if they ever specifically said Bruce Wayne.
Right. That was just my concern, because if we have this universe where Ben Affleck could still come back and be Batman, potentially, you leave that door open if Robert Pattinson is not in fact Bruce Wayne.
What's the thing? I think the
And he's a
multiverse could let
character
you
that
do
is-
both. It doesn't matter.
Well, right, opening the multiverse does a lot of things.
Which, I mean, they've been doing on TV for years.
Sure, and it works.
Yeah, I love all the TV stuff. Andy, we'll swing over to you. Keaton returning as Batman. You think it's going to be Flashpoint Batman? You think he's going to be 92 Batman?
I would love to see him as a 92 Batman. I just really hope that whatever they do it tactfully, because he still has my highest opinion as a Batman. I thought Christian Bale was good, but still, I'm going Keaton.
Fair.
And they need to incorporate him enough where he's still, pretty badass, but not overwhelming the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see a 40-second clip of him being Batman and that's it. That's not what I want. You know what I mean? Because otherwise it's going to be like all this build up for less than a minute of Batman.
Right. Yeah. Do you think we'll get multiple movies out of him, or you think it'll be one and done?
Oh man, if they could get multiple movies again out of him, that would be incredible. That would be like a dream come true.
And with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man character out of the MCU, who could kind of pop up in the Captain America movie and the Spider-Man movie, I guess the write-ups made it more akin to Nick Fury, but I kind of see him possibly as more of this next level's Iron Man in DC. He can kind of be that central thing that doesn't always have to be the central point. Everything else is sort of happening around him, and he has his fingers in everything.
Supporting character for all these things, yeah.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you think? Where do you stand?
Well, Keaton's already played his seminal role as a superhero, so I kind of don't want to see him get back into it. We're talking about an Oscar-winning performance, so I don't see the point in bringing him back to play a puny little Batman thing. Like, who cares?
Talking about Birdman.
Yeah, yeah, the pinnacle. And then it's at the same time, who gives a shit? Like, it's DC, who cares? Just put him out there, put him in the movie, have the Pattinson Batman, have them not connect in any way, have him show up in this and then never bring him up again. I think the big issue is like, you can't put him in this movie because Ezra Miller still has to establish himself as the Flash.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet. He hasn't really gotten a lot of screen time. We know almost nothing about the character other than he laughs at some bad jokes.
That is
He drew a
true.
face on somebody when he was visiting his dad in jail.
Yeah, and so if you put Keaton in this, it's just gonna suck all the air out of the room, and like no one's gonna give a shit about the Flash.
Well,
like
this
I have an
movie.
interesting question for you here, Ian. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Brian. But this plays right into what he's saying here. What if the Snyder Cut gives us a lot more information about Barry?
it won't.
And then they're going to use that. Well, I'm just throwing it out there that your close personal friend and your idol could...
Not my idol.
could produce a more definitive look at Barry for what the future could hold for the
I don't
character
think
in their
the-
DCEU, even if they're not recognizing the Snyder Cut as official canon, which we don't even know yet.
Well, I think the way you get around that is, I mean, or one way to try to deal with it is, so when the MCU brought Spider-Man back in with Homecoming, there's like one scene that's less than 2 minutes long where him and Ned just have like throwaway lines about the spider and it happened. That's as much backstory as the MCU gives you about Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. I think you can do a similar thing with Flash, where you either... honestly, I think you change up the idea of what he's going back in time to do, or what the thing is that he does that then causes the time divergence to begin with. Because you're right, there's a lot of foundational stuff in that character that hasn't been established, so you don't make him run back in time to save his mother. You show him with his dad in jail in Justice League, but you have no idea why his dad's even there. Why waste screen time on all that backstory just to give you your MacGuffin to make the whole rest of the plot go forward? Make up a different reason that he does something with the Speed Force or space-time that then causes the Flashpoint conditions to occur. Then you don't have to worry about using up all that screen time for that.
Well, I think even to Ian's point, I feel like the Flashpoint as a story, I think would be a much better second movie. I think you need the solo movie with the Flash to sort of flesh him out, like Ian's saying. I completely agree with that. I think you need more time with Barry Allen to figure out why he makes the decisions he does, instead of just opening the movie, he screws something up, and then the whole rest of the movie is him trying to fix it.
Like, we're not even talking about his backstory, about how he became the Flash. It's literally, I don't know as a character why he would choose to do something, because he doesn't have enough screen time.
The difference, Josh, with
Right.
Spider-Man is that we've had 5 different movies before Tom Holland showed up as Spider-Man, and they just gave you his backstory in one line. People have
And
seen
you know
Spider-Man
it.
movies.
That is fair.
Well, why we don't
even
need to
just
see
at
Batman's
that,
parents
Spider-Man
die.
without the movies is still like, the Flash is big, but he's not Spider-Man in
Right.
popularity. People don't know the story as well as they would know the Flash. We might, but your average moviegoer knows Spider-Man's story, whereas
A
they
bit better.
don't know the Flash's.
Yeah, and I guess I'm taking for granted that I have watched 6 seasons of a television show
And that helps, yeah.
Right. So I guess in my eyes, if you were, and you're not wrong, that yes, from a cinematic standpoint, you do need an establishing movie. But I feel like for me as a viewer, I feel like I'd be using 2 hours to not gain much else, if anything, that I've already spent 6 years watching on TV.
I mean, let's put it this way, Josh. The TV series did this. It took them 2 seasons to get to Flashpoint. You had all that build up to get there.
Right, and then they didn't really... I mean, they did such a simplistic version of
Right.
Flashpoint. I mean, they like just by name,
Yeah.
really. I mean, they just said Flashpoint, i.e. Barry went back in time and messed something up. That's like
And I get
base
a
level
feeling
as it got.
that that's how this movie is going to go, too. I don't think... all the stuff that we mentioned, I don't know how much we're going to see in this movie as far as, like, the Waynes going down a path and all that stuff. I don't know how
Sure.
much we're going to get. So this is probably going to be a movie that just uses the Flashpoint name, but is a lot less about Flashpoint than we want.
I mean,
Yeah,
at this
that's
point, it's still not written. Like,
fair. Good
Which
point.
could be true, too, yeah. Yeah, this movie, who the hell, I don't even know if it has a new release date. The date I thought I saw was like, they're talking about 2022, but
Oh,
with everything
man,
else getting
okay.
delayed, who the hell knows?
And with how many times, you said what, 2018 was when it was first supposed to release?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were working on it back in 2016.
And then it got
they were
pushed
working
and
on it in
pushed and pushed.
2014.
Yeah.
It's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they pushed it, and it's 2 years out. I would say this is still up in the air as to whether you ever see this movie or not.
And I think I forgot to write down the name. They did hire another screenwriter for this one. It's a woman, and I can't remember her name. I'd have to look it up again.
I think I'm on the page. I think it's Christina Hodson,
Yes.
who worked on Bumblebee and Birds of Prey.
Yes. So that gives me some hope. I trust her as a writer based on some of her credentials and stuff, so I think that could help.
Sure.
But still, the fact that this movie has been talked about for that long and we've seen nothing, and again has the revolving door of directors, who's to say this guy's going to stick around? We don't know what the hell's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Well, the problem is they don't have that unifying vision still, and they don't have someone like Snyder even that'll just force it out because he has enough credentials in the industry to get you to just release something.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about something like the Joker, where it's a big enough character, people will go see it.
Right.
Yeah, the name will make the money with the Joker, especially like how popular it's been since Nolan's version. It kept it there, and even Jared Leto's emo Joker couldn't kill that. So, yeah. The Flash doesn't have that
So coming back around too, because we set it up and then didn't talk about it, but Jeff Johns was the writer of Flashpoint comic book. So just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah, and from looking further at it, there was several other like offshoot comics along the way, but Grant Morrison did no work on anything to do with Flashpoint.
But he's written The Flash before, so it's not like he...
Right. He's written the character. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'd like to, like, just for shits and giggles, like to see what Ezra Miller's version of a script for this movie would be.
You know, no offense to the guy. He's a great actor. He's kind of out there.
He's a weird dude.
Yeah. He's pretty fucking weird. But Flashpoint is the kind of weird thing that he might be able to write well.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be curious.
Grant Morrison, however, has wrote some of my favorite DC material.
He's also weird, too.
He is. But
peas in a
like
pod.
his runs with Batman, he has several, I mean, they were all comic books at one time, but there's several graphic novels you can get now that are some of the best Batman material you're going to find.
No, he also wrote my favorite run of Moon Knight. He's a very great writer.
Yeah, he's fucking fantastic. So I have nothing against him going there, but so is Jeff Johns. And Jeff Johns evidently had some trouble getting things going with his DCEU at one point.
You know, the more I
Yeah.
hear about whenever, like, they sort of, when Zack Snyder left and they started bringing in Jeff Johns to sort of head this creative vision, I've heard nothing good about him working on these movies. And granted,
Asshole or
just like no idea what the hell he's doing. Like
Well, I
they're
think
going to
their
him for
problem is-
answers and he doesn't have any.
I think their problem still is that they don't know what they're doing at Warner Brothers, like at the parent company. They're trying to run this like their normal film business while not taking into account like how DC itself is set up,
Yeah.
and then just plugging in talent from the DC part of it and telling them, "Hey, you do movies now."
Yeah.
It's like, well, that doesn't cross over. It's like
That's
they don't
true.
know how to get actual executives in. Like it's, Disney's had problems before. Like at the very top, you had Michael Eisner saving the company, then almost destroying it.
Yeah.
It's I don't think Warner Brothers has figured out like we can't just pull random DC executive in and be like, you make universe. Like it
Right.
just doesn't
I
work like
think-
that.
I think they saw like Marvel's model where Marvel went to Joss Whedon and they got so much quality out of that collaboration and so much momentum, but I feel like they discounted the Kevin Feige in that matter that really was the driving force. Even if Joss Whedon did a lot, Kevin Feige was the one that was pulling the strings the whole time, and they have not had that with DC. They haven't had that person that's pulling all the strings behind the scenes and doing it well, at least.
And
Doing
even
it
like
the right way.
the leadership that Ian's been talking about, I feel like they've changed hands 3 or 4 times over the years too. Like they can't keep leadership together.
And that's because they haven't been able to make a hit. I think that goes all the way to the
Mhm.
top at Warner Brothers, outside of the movies division even.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a mess there right now, like how they're managing this as a whole.
Yeah.
And it
Since
was-
Harry Potter, it's kind of been...
And even that, I
What have
think
they
you
done?
can say at a certain point they kind of lost the plot there with how they were managing that franchise.
I would agree to disagree on that one, but that's outside the point that we're talking about. But nonetheless, I understand what you're getting at. And yeah,
Well,
I don't know what their solution
yeah,
is.
I'm shocked. I just tried to look it up because I wanted to know like how long DC has been owned by Warner Brothers, And like one or two things that I just found are all saying that they've had ownership since the mid 70s. I did not know it was that long. And you would think over that amount of time, I mean, they made how many Superman movies during that period? They made 2 very successful Keaton Batman movies. For all the shit that it took, Batman Forever actually did really well financially.
Yeah.
It did well. Yeah.
And I know it's like that's where it started. And actually, we should mention Joel Schumacher recently passed away.
Yeah.
Director of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. But maybe Disney maybe just avoided a big pothole when they decided to get in business with Marvel Studios and then acquire it. Marvel Studios already existed outside of it. Disney came to them. They saw the potential. And somebody there, a few persons, made the smart decision not to screw with it. They assessed that there were a couple of smart people with a good vision in charge, and they let them continue to do that. And nowhere along the way, as we keep saying in different ways, DC, Warner Brothers never put a DC film studio division together. They never made that part of the company to do that. And maybe to Mike's point, and Ian's too, that you just can't pluck random, current, generic movie professional out and say, all right, well, you're working on the funny book movies now.
Yeah, there's no 1-to-1 ratio for like you write a comic book, so now you can write a movie and craft a movie universe.
No,
like it doesn't work like that.
And that's why I think Joss Whedon was a different case early on for them, is because he wasn't just a comic book writer. He had done this before in his career.
Yeah.
So,
although Jeff Johns he's written episodes and stuff for TV, I think, hasn't he? I feel like he's done episodes of the CW shows and stuff like that, or at least creative consultant for some of that stuff.
Was that before or after they decided to put him?
I thought it was before
doing this.
I thought it was some of that experience that maybe led him to be in charge of the movies and stuff like that. But I don't know the time frame is like when what happened first and like years and stuff like that.
That's a different job,
Yeah.
Even script writing, is just a completely different set of skills, I think.
Yeah.
And it just comes from the top down. I just don't think they are well managed right now of how they're setting up this universe. I think they're better off like they used to, where it's just let's make some loosely connected movies.
Yeah, which is where they're trying to go, and now it seems like they're trying to have the best of both worlds. Let's do some stuff that's connected, and if it's by itself, we'll just explain it as multiverse stuff.
I think they could just do it and not explain it. Just be like, hey, sometimes it connects, sometimes it doesn't, and you'll know they connect because we'll reference stuff.
Let the MCU be its own thing. Let it have its, crafted, connected universe, but don't try to emulate them. Let them be their own thing.
Yeah. Well, at this point, we'll just have to wait and see where it goes. So, just sort of around the table, you think we'll see Keaton as Batman? And just, which Batman are you putting money on him being?
Before we vote, do you mean in uniform as Batman? Or as Bruce Wayne?
Credited as Batman. Boom. Move on.
I don't think if you get him and they make this movie, I don't think you go all that way not to have him in the suit for something.
Okay.
Walking by him in the Batcave. I don't know if it necessarily would be like an action scene per se, but I don't think you go that distance just to have him be Bruce Wayne.
I feel like the stipulation will be he is not suited up. I think he'll be in the Batcave, Bruce Wayne, sort of doing Batman-y things, but will not suit up as Batman.
Is he too old?
I think it's probably one of those things where he just doesn't want to wear the fucking uniform anymore.
Well,
I don't feel like he has good experiences wearing the uniform, which I'm sure is better now. I'm sure he could get a better uniform now.
I mean, he was wearing one not that long ago. It wasn't Batman. It's a different bird.
Fair. But that was more of just like a jacket and some CG wings.
Oh, they were CG?
I'm assuming.
Oh.
He wasn't really flying around, right?
Well, they were real wings, though.
Well, so are you talking about Birdman or are you talking about Vulture?
I was talking about Vulture. Now I'm real confused.
Personally, I think he'll either be there as Alfred or Commissioner Gordon.
So no Batman at all.
I think the rumors that he's being discussed as Batman are just off. They saw Michael Keaton being discussed to turn up in a Flash movie, and it's people's minds going wild, like the internet tends to lend to.
Yeah.
And I feel like today he makes more sense as Alfred or Commissioner Gordon. And a cheeky little nod at some point to his past as Batman.
So a cameo,
Yeah,
but not a
I mean,
reprisal.
Yes.
Given that, I would potentially see a Commissioner Gordon. I can't, even in a Flashpoint where everything's upside down, I can't see Alfred as anything but a Brit. And I don't see Michael Keaton doing accents of any kind. And he would just...
Sir Michael
Can't hear a
Keaton.
Pittsburgh British accent.
So, but Commissioner Gordon could be interesting.
Andy, where you at?
Batman
For the
all
record.
Batman all the way, for the record.
Okay. Ian?
Not in the movie.
At all.
No.
It's a good bet.
This is complete left
Doesn't sign
curveball.
on.
Yeah, he's gonna pitch him the script in 2 years and be like, no.
Oh, so by the time the movie gets made, you're saying he's backed out.
If they
scheduling
even
or
can
something.
convince him to sign up for an unwritten movie. Hey, we've been producing this for 6 years. You want to be in it? We have no script, and our director's the it guy. Maybe he might have left.
We don't even know.
We didn't actually even ask the it guy to be in it. We're just saying it.
You know what? I'd like to change my vote to Ian's vote there.
Yeah, I think there's a big
He
contingency
makes
on
a strong case.
on any of our answers that will the movie be made? And
Yeah.
if so, in what capacity might Michael Keaton appear?
Pretty much.
I think it's more likely Zack Snyder directs it than Michael Keaton appears in it.
It's on the record. We'll see if you're right.
You're gonna feel real dumb when I'm right.
Well,
It will officially blow my mind.
More than anything, I will say I want this to be true. I absolutely like the joy it would be
Yeah.
to experience this as even just the idea that we can think about this. And to go back to sort of how we opened the episode, and Brian said like, "Hey, what can we talk about?" He and I totally agreed that a lot of this is rumors, and all that can be confirmed, it seems, like has been said, is talks are happening. Apparently nobody can really say for what definitely, in what capacity, etc., etc. Just talks are happening. And in the shitstorm that is every day of 2020, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
So just the joy that even brings me, that the notion that it might be true, I'm good with.
And at the same time, if he does sign on, I actually don't want to read the official announcement that he is part of this movie. Just save it. Like, I'm fine talking about the rumor that maybe he's in there, maybe he's not. But if it happens, don't tell me he's officially there. I want that surprise for the movie.
Yeah, that would actually
That's the first
get
scene
me
of the trailer.
in to see the movie.
That will be in the trailer. There's no way that's being...
For sure.
No
saved.
confirmation.
You will have
Just
to
the
do...
potential. I will go.
You know what,
definitely.
though? They did... Recently, something similar happened. Not to the same scale, but in my personal opinion, close. And it didn't get thrown in the trailer. We got a surprise reprisal of a role from a different universe just recently, and they put nothing of it in the trailer. And that's J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. And maybe the most perfect casting they've ever had for any Marvel movie ever, and he comes back.
I think
They didn't tease that at all.
Yeah, the only difference with that
That
is
was
like
a huge reveal.
the tagline of the movie, or the end credits, mid credits, whatever scene that was, is a little bit different than having a supporting role in the entire movie, which is what I sort of expect Keaton to have. Like, if he's in the movie, he's going to be on the poster. Like, there's no denying it.
Yeah. There's no way he's not part of the marketing big time, no matter what extent he plays.
First 3 on the call sheet.
Yeah, for sure.
So unless anybody wants to try my method and go complete and utter media blackout and never look at IMDb again for like 3 years on this movie, and not look at movie posters and skip every trailer possible and cover your eyes and your ears in movie theaters if that ever becomes a thing again, there's no way you're not going to get spoiled that he's in this movie before you get there.
Yeah, I will try my best to do that, but I'm going to be so curious about this movie when the first trailer drops, I'm going to have to watch it.
Yeah.
If he avoids that first trailer, I might be able to keep that a secret.
I'm on with Ian. He's going to avoid that first trailer because he's not going to be in it at all. I changed my
Michael
vote.
Keaton
He
will
made a good
avoid
case.
watching
So
the first trailer for the Flash movie. That's how much.
that's how not in it he will be. He will not even watch this movie.
All right, so we're gonna move on to second DC rumor. This one I feel like is a little bit more outlandish if we go all the way through it. So, back in February 2015, this is a full year ahead of BVS and 2 years before Justice League. Zack Snyder dropped a teaser poster that featured Jason Momoa as Aquaman that said "Unite the Seven." Does anyone remember this poster? Because if not, I'm gonna send it to you.
The poster, no.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the only poster that had that on there. Slogan was never used again. So considering this poster was dropped, again, 2 years before Justice League, 3 years before Aquaman's solo movie, there was internet speculation. Is it referring to 7 Justice League members, or is it referring to the 7 kingdoms of Atlantis? So, of course, around the time that Aquaman was released and the Snyder Cut was a pipe dream, it was reported that the forgotten Unite the Seven tagline was for the kingdoms of Atlantis. However, we now know that HBO Max is getting the Snyder Cut of Justice League. On Twitter, a fan asked Zack Snyder, "What did you mean about Unite the Seven? A Green Lantern is coming?" ? Zack Snyder replied with just a wink emoji, and that was it. This is what this entire rumor is based off of. So,
I'd say that's a pretty. Personally, I'd say that's pretty solid.
So,
but go ahead.
This lends to the original tagline, supposedly meaning 7 members of the Justice League. So when we saw Justice League, there was only 6: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg. So we're missing somebody. So again, taking this rumor to the extreme, there are a few places saying that we're going to get a Green Lantern in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Not only that, but people are speculating Ryan Reynolds will be back as Hal Jordan in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, which part of this, if any, do you think could happen? Do you think we'll see Green Lantern in the Snyder Cut? And do you think it will be Ryan Reynolds?
No.
Oh, you think it? Okay. Why? That's a surprising position.
Why would it be Ryan Reynolds?
This is what the internet is telling me. This is the
Green
articles that I
Lantern.
read for this thing. Everyone is saying, well, maybe not everyone, but some of these articles are putting two and two together and saying Ryan Reynolds is in talks to reprise his role as Green Lantern. There's nothing to back that up at all. Green Lantern being in the movie, sure, there's a little bit of credence there based on Zack Snyder's tweet. But just, adding to the internet shitstorm, do you think there's any truth to either of those?
I don't know if there's truth, because I don't know if we have any way to assess that necessarily. I think, again, this is just something that, if it can happen, I will be overjoyed. Let me put it this way. I don't know if it makes sense to worry about reshooting footage with a Green Lantern if it's not Ryan Reynolds, or if it's not the person who you are definitely going to cast in an apparently rumored Green Lantern show for HBO Max.
Are they actually reshooting for the Snyder Cut?
Talked about the movie, they had said no, but I don't know.
They
the
are.
way everybody's talking, it seems like they were talking about reshoots.
Oh, they will be.
Yeah, I mean,
if there's reshoots, Ryan Reynolds maybe.
I'm under no impression.
If there's not reshoots, 100% no.
I'm under no impression that the Snyder Cut had all of this there, like archive that just got cut and reshaped, and then Joss Whedon reshot a bunch of stuff for the version we saw.
Right.
I'm sure there's some of that, but I am under the impression that like something like this is for something they either never got to in his original plan, and now they can do a little reshooting to squeeze that kind of stuff in. But like I said, if you're going to go to the trouble of including a Green Lantern beyond like the quick little image that you get of Green Lanterns fighting in the like flashback prologue in Justice League, I don't think it makes any sense to do it unless it's the one Green Lantern you've established exists in feature film, or if you have future Green Lantern projects that you're definitely going to do, and you use this as the opportunity to introduce that actor.
Which at the time they were going to do. the Green Lantern Corps movies were going to happen.
Right.
Like they had talked about that. So this could have been a jumping off point, just like sprinkle him in to then see more Green Lantern movies after. Like a rebooted Green Lantern, not Ryan Reynolds. And Josh, I don't know if I might be seeing how test your memory here. The Kevin Smith podcast, Fat Man Beyond.
Yep.
So the articles I was reading about the Green Lantern stuff, and I remember this as I read about it. At some point, Kevin Smith was on his show talking about someone he had talked to that was in production on Zack Snyder's version of Justice League. And there was a shot in the trailer, I honestly can't remember if it made it in the movie, where Alfred talks to someone off screen and says like, oh, thank you, we are glad you arrived, hopefully it's not too late. Everyone assumed it was Superman, that he is talking and referring to Superman. And if it's in the movie, that might be how it's cut now, that he's talking to Superman. Whoever Kevin Smith talked to, this is, friend of a friend type thing.
Sure.
Said they shot the scene with a green light shining on Alfred.
I remember, even outside of that story, I seem to kind of remember that being talked about around the time Justice League was released.
So this isn't like anyone high up in the production. This is like a gaffer, someone that's just on set at the time, is saying, we shined a light at Jeremy Irons that was green.
Yeah.
So is that enough to tell you that could be Green Lantern in that scene? Or is this just like the game of telephone where I've heard something 3 different ways and now I'm regurgitating what I heard?
Obviously could be. If those circumstances were true, what else reasonably would it be?
Well,
at that point in the
there's
story.
a couple things I would say.
So if it's been a while since I watched Justice League, so I'm trying to remember if that scene is even in the movie or if it was just in the trailer. But if we see that scene again in Snyder's cut, if this is true, theoretically we should see a Green Lantern there, where Alfred would talk to a Green Lantern, not Superman.
Right.
And if they, if they shot that with a green light, we don't know if Green Lantern wasn't cast yet. If they had an actor there that is playing Green Lantern that they just haven't announced or was going to be a surprise for the movie. If they shot those scenes,
the effect in.
True, yeah. But theoretically, just spitballing. If they cast somebody that was supposed to be a surprise and they shot that scene with that person, the footage is there. So it's just a matter of not reshooting something, but putting it back in the cut.
Could be. That's true.
I still feel like if that was Ryan Reynolds, that would have leaked.
That's what I mean.
We would have known that at the time. We would have heard about this a long time ago.
Snyder shot that originally. $10, it's not Green Lantern. It's someone completely new.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only reason Ryan Reynolds would make his way into the Snyder Cut is if it's a reshoot. And I don't think reshoots are happening. I think they're doing post-production, polishing special effects. I think the shots are there. They just need finished work special effects-wise and stuff to clean it up. Get it in the cut of the movie.
Well, I would say if there is a way, and as Green Lantern has shown, many different people have been that character, and many different people have been at the forefront of the movies or animated shows that they made on that character. So conceivably, if they wanted to, they could do a small reshoot, tying the knot off with Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, and kind of putting that to bed while also acknowledging, being self-deprecating, like, yeah, guys, we know. But next to him, maybe you have Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Maybe you have another Green Lantern who
pass the baton in that movie
will be the thing to carry forward in whatever next incarnation of that property they want to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, if all this comes out and we watch the Snyder Cut and Ryan Reynolds is in that movie, it will officially blow my mind.
Correct.
Because I don't think there's any fucking way this is possible. But if it happens, holy shitballs.
If they were to keep that under wraps for this long, they shot him into the movie. Yeah, I agree.
Well, like I said, and I'm even going like way far out of the way to say maybe they didn't, but they're going to reform it a little bit here to get him back for one day of shooting for some kind of small stand-in position, so that you have his presence known and the tie to that project of his that they made, but you have the other Green Lantern introduced with him which will be the one we'll follow into the future.
Yeah.
And that would require a small amount of new footage.
You think it'd go as far as like repurposing Green Lantern footage from Ryan Reynolds' movie?
Who knows? Maybe.
God, I hope not.
Like, we didn't actually take the time to shoot anything. We're just going to borrow this, recut everything around it. Like, that's part of our post-production, is just like they did with, Carrie Fisher in Rise of Skywalker. We're going to take your performance, but everything in the background is gone, and we're going to put it in the computer.
Anything's possible now.
Throw enough money
it's
at everything,
possible,
and that's what happens.
But I don't want them tied to the Green Lantern suit looking like that.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
So, I mean, they could re-CGI it, but at the same time, I would still rather them go practical like they have for the other stuff.
Yeah. Andy, where do you stand?
As to whether or not it's going to happen?
You think we'll see Green Lantern? Do you think we'll see Ryan Reynolds? Any combination of those?
I think what we have here is them trying to oversell something that is going to fall short of our expectations.
So there's no truth to this at all?
I don't think we'll see him.
Okay. You mean Green Lantern, period. No Green Lantern at all?
We may see Green Lantern. There's no way it's... what's his name? Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Ian, where you at?
Oh, there's no Green Lantern in this.
At all?
No.
I think
You mean no additional, because he was in the movie to begin with. He is in the flashback stuff.
Yeah, now he's not.
Taken out
That's
completely.
cut. That's a Joss Whedon move.
You see this like
Is
black
it? Do we know
smudge
that?
that's like going around the frame just because they just photoshopped him out?
Yeah, that's a Joss Whedon shot. You can tell.
I think we found Ian's new nickname, Dream Killer.
That's better than Star Killer.
Oh. You love the
I don't-
Marvel
Killer
digs.
base.
I don't see the point in Green Lantern being in the film. I don't see what his presence would add to it. So I think with the
What's
Snyder
his
cut,
person? Sorry, go ahead. I'm interrupting.
I think the reason the Snyder cut exists is to recreate the greatest film ever made that we never got to see, and I don't see the Green Lantern being a part of that vision. Neither is the Vision in it. I'm going to confirm that right now.
Then I'm gonna
Paul
swing back
Paul
to the
Bettany,
Unite the
not there.
Seven tagline. Do you think that's Justice League, or you think that it's strictly
That
Aquaman
was-
related?
Yeah, that was Atlantis.
Okay.
It's Aquaman uniting the seven kingdoms of Atlantis. Yeah, I mean that's what that was.
Okay.
No one says unite the seven, and that means the Justice League. No one has ever
Yeah,
said that.
Yeah,
No one has ever said that.
It's not a term ever used for the Justice League.
That could have been your
However-
close personal friend's just tagline he was trying to push. That could have been something he created for the Justice League that was going to be used.
But isn't uniting the kingdoms part, like unite, specifically that word, part of like Aquaman's thing?
Probably. I don't know.
I don't read Aquaman. I'm just
I mean, I
Well,
know
the
there's seven
Justice League didn't
kingdoms
united. Like it didn't make any sense.
I mean, he had to gather the team. That was part of Justice League, was forming the team.
No,
uniting
that
the
happened
team.
in BVS.
to assemble.
Yeah, they can't use a symbol. That's trademark.
It took them 23 movies to say.
I feel like, personally, I feel like Green Lantern does show up. It's because the Justice League without Green Lantern is what?
Fine.
So
Not-
Cyborg is more important than Green Lantern to the Justice League?
In the current incarnation of the Justice League, yeah. What DC's using with their comic books, yes.
I think there was another founding. There was a seventh member of the
Okay.
Justice League when they
I haven't been up to it, so
when they started. Right? Wasn't it Manhunter? Wasn't Martian Manhunter part of the team?
yes,
So
He's
what
also
if
cut.
what if he's in the movie?
doubt it.
This is me spitballing. This is
That'd be the greatest thing Zack Snyder's ever done is bring Martian Manhunter to the large screen.
That's actually
That'd be
who
awesome.
the resurrected Superman is.
Like they could reuse old Dr. Manhattan footage to pull it off. Just have Martian Manhunter hanging dong.
I would just like
paint him
to
green. It's fine.
I would just like to point
It's,
out
it's
in November a online publication called Heroic Hollywood on Twitter reported Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds supports Justice League Zack Snyder cut campaign, to which Ryan Reynolds himself responded, "Honestly, I thought release the Snyder cut was something you're supposed to yell while making love. My bad." So he's invested.
Yeah, it's a very Ryan Reynolds thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's something Ian has done.
No.
No? Okay. I was just wondering.
He has more respect for his friend than that.
Like, do you think about your friends when you have sex?
No?
All right, so this is
Right.
taking a turn.
But you're thinking about the movie, not your friend, you know.
My friend made the movie.
Wow.
Multiple
So-
levels of weird.
Any last calls for the Green Lantern stuff? That's all I had.
I honestly, I hope it happens. Why not?
Fair enough.
Whether honestly, it would be great if it was Ryan, because I think they could. It would make them have to be creative. But if they don't do it, then it's fine. But if any incarnation is there, great. Why not?
Yeah. All right, so next topic. We are going to talk about... there's another reboot in the works. So Deadline is reporting that Nickelodeon, who currently holds the rights to the property, is rebooting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They are using Seth Rogen's production company. So it has Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and James Weaver attached as producers. Brendan O'Brien as the writer, who he wrote Neighbors, Neighbors 2, and Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. And it has Jeff Rowe, whose IMDb mainly just lists him as a writer for Gravity Falls and Disenchantment, as the director.
Okay.
The article also reports that the movie will be animated and not live action. So, what do you guys think about an animated reboot for the Ninja Turtles?
Pass. Put them in costumes.
I agree.
I would enjoy live action much more.
I really enjoyed the last animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
TMNT. Yeah, that movie's fucking good.
It's really good. I went to the theater to
It
see
is.
that, and it was awesome. So I'm, and I actually never saw it. I don't know. I thought the Turtles looked weird in the last real live couple of movies, out of the Shadows and something or another, everything else.
I think it was just Ninja Turtles and then Out of the Shadows was the second one.
Yeah. I didn't really.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just looked weird and odd to me in those.
So you
movies.
you didn't see those movies?
But Bebop and Rocksteady look
No, I
fucking
didn't see
awesome.
either of those movies.
Okay. Did anybody see those movies or just me? I know Josh hasn't
own
I
them.
did not.
because we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I love those movies.
Mike, you've seen them, Mike? Okay.
I love them. Yeah.
Ian, you haven't seen them? Don't care?
No.
I believe Out of the Shadows made my top 10 the year it came out.
Yeah, I think the first one has its issues. Second one I do think is actually really good. I think the second one just got a bad rap because the first one had issues.
Yeah.
Second one deserves a watch, I think. Josh, I think as much as you were trying to avoid
If
them
you like the
because of,
cartoon.
Michael Bay's association with the stuff, I think the second one you can just jump in. Like, it doesn't matter if you see the first one or not. Just jump into Out of the Shadows and watch
Not at
that
all.
one.
It's a possibility
Yeah,
at this point. There's.
If you like the cartoon from when we were kids, you will like Out of the
Well,
Shadows.
I'm with. Is it? Sorry, Ian or Andy? Which of you just said that Ian maybe is like the look of the turtles in those were so off-putting to me. Like they made them, in my opinion, like the design of them just looked so awkward and like I don't know, just like that's not how that animal would look. I don't know. There's
Yeah,
something about it. It was very strange to me.
That was my take on it too. I saw the previews and I'm like, I don't like the way they look.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, that sounded horrible, but I don't know. They just
I don't like
Yeah,
how
just-
you look.
I don't know. I
Shaming.
just that's not my vision even remotely as to what the Ninja Turtle should look in real life.
I guess it kind of grew on me. Like, I think I thought that way at first too, but I kind of liked having a visual representation of their personality other than just color.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, you go back to the other live action movies, it's just the bandanas. That's the only color change that. I mean, I guess the texture and stuff of the turtles looked a little bit different. Color schemes were a little bit different, but you really had to look for that kind of stuff. For this one, at least Donatello has a big computer on his back and stuff. Like he's built for that kind of stuff. Leo looks more like a samurai. Raph looks like he's got a bandana and
Big
stuff.
and
Yeah,
bulky.
it was a little bit more apparent. which might seem over the top, I guess, but I don't know. It worked for me.
I don't need it to be apparent. I know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I want their I want their each one's individual personality to show through in a movie. You know what I mean? I don't
And to be fair,
need them to
looks
look like a
aside-
samurai and a big, busky, bulky dude and a freaking computer-backed turtle.
I think the looks aside, the personalities are spot on in both of the movies. I think that's one thing the first movie got right.
Yeah.
Is that it nailed the personalities for the turtles.
Yeah, they hit that off. The thing that they missed on for me that was a big miss was Casey. Stephen Amell is not Casey Jones.
Yeah, I like Stephen Amell, but
He's not.
Yeah.
Arrow.
Like, yeah, they had him as Casey Jones. It just does not work. Of all the things they did that worked, that just doesn't.
I don't know.
Like Elias Koteas in the first movie,
Right.
that's Casey Jones. That's
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
perfect. Stephen Amell, nope.
We're all
It's
excited
not
about
there.
the Snyder cut for Justice League. I want to see the original cut of the first Turtles movie that they did, like that got cut to shit because everything in the marketing for that. And I think we talked about it way back when. And now I'm gonna have to fucking IMDb the guy's name because I can't think of who it is.
Wasn't it like too violent?
Talking about
or
like the
something?
No, no, no,
1990 movie or the 2000?
No. The
How about
first,
ICP?
the first Michael Bay produced one
Oh, okay.
with Megan
Oh,
Fox.
I thought you meant the 90 one that I thought they had said was too violent at one time and they cut us stuff
No,
out
because
of
that
it.
one, they who the hell was the actor? Everything in the first couple previews and stuff, I think they were teasing William Fichtner. So he plays the villain in the movie, but they had someone else turn into Shredder. I think the original version of that movie was having him be some sort of Shredder, which maybe didn't test well or someone didn't like that. But there are parts of the movie that lead that direction, and then the third act just falls apart because it's all leading to that, and they rewrote it to make traditional Shredder, which was fucking stupid.
And he would be a good shredder.
And, the second movie has to build off
Much
of
better
that.
than the actor that they got.
But second movie sort of builds off of that whenever they do that and, keeps the more traditional Shredder and gets way outlandish like the cartoon and shit did, which works for that movie.
Krang.
But that first movie, I think, could have worked so much better should they just stuck to their guns and just fucked off with what people thought and just made a cool movie.
I agree.
Brian,
So, anyway,
do you own either of those?
Yes, both.
Specifically because, and even though you said it doesn't really come to fruition, I am a big enough, believe it or not, William Fichtner fan that
Mm-hmm.
I will sit down and watch this at some point.
If you watch that, just in the back of your mind, remember that the original version of that would have had him be the main villain. You'll see why it just falls apart in the third act of the movie.
Fair enough.
And I can sell you the second movie with one sentence. Beyond like the Bebop and Rocksteady stuff and the Krang being in it,
It's a
and all
bad
that,
sentence.
No, I said beyond that. One sentence past all that. Tyler Perry as Baxter
Wait,
Stockman.
Tyler Perry's in it? I'm
As
out.
I think you just
Baxter
lost
Full
Andy.
stop.
Yeah.
Out. I'm out.
Way to go, Mike. You just lost him.
Well,
I'm out.
sorry. He's
No.
awesome.
No
as
fucking
Baxter
possible
Stockman.
way. And I'm never
You
going to
gotta
see it,
just
so
tell it,
bro.
you can never try to sway me one way or the other. But I'm never seeing that.
Look, I have an understanding of why you have a thing against Medea, but Tyler Perry as an actor outside of that,
dude,
is
I even
fucking
hated him in Star
fantastic.
Trek.
He
Yes.
was in Star
Yeah,
Trek.
he's one of the Starfleet
He was, someone
Yeah,
of importance.
managers.
Yeah, he
Oh yeah. He's like lecturing him when he
Mm-hmm.
does
yeah.
the.
That'll always be a
he
black
cheats.
spot on that movie, and I love that movie.
Ian, any
The way you said that just there got
Yeah.
you canceled. By the way, I'm just.
we're gonna just roll.
Why? Because I don't like Tyler Perry as an actor. Get anybody else in there.
No. I'm saying you called him a black
Oh
spot.
my
on the
God.
movie. That's all.
Not what I meant. What the fuck?
Ian, anything for Turtles? Do you even care about Turtles? Period.
Oh yeah, I love the turtles.
Okay.
I think they're super cool. Been doing a podcast called Talking Turtles, where we talk about turtles and Turtle. You know, Turtle from Entourage. But so I'm a big turtle guy. I would like to, like I said, I would like the live action thing brought back because I think that's just cool. I think that we don't get enough of that anymore. I mean, I
thinking
get
like
why they're.
Jim Henson puppet like costumes and stuff, or like CG?
I'm talking Vanilla Ice era Turtles.
Okay.
Bring it back. Just bring out the same
Ninja rap.
outfits from then,
I still,
and then
I
still
would agree
think
with that.
legitimately this is not
Those were
like
awesome.
being like, I loved my childhood and nostalgia is so cool. I legitimately think that the first 1990s Turtles movie holds up.
Yeah.
The production, the costume. I like the costumes in that way more than Secret of the Ooze. It was like darkly shot. It was a dark movie.
It's ahead of its time, really.
It really was. Like it just,
Mm-hmm.
I would love that incarnation again. And granted, there is probably a certain bias built in because, yeah, okay, I'm 6 years old and I liked the Ninja Turtles, and so that's ingrained in my brain. But compared to the other properties and incarnations live action they've done, like CGI animated notwithstanding, just like the five feature films live action they've done, I think that one is the best and was the best approach to production.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. And the reason for that is they were the most true to the source material with that movie. The source material for the Turtles is fairly dark.
Yeah. Yeah, they like slash people
And
up and
then
stuff.
they
They have
turned
knives
it-
as weapons. They are
Right.
killing people.
Yes. And it took a turn toward a younger audience with Secret of the Ooze. That's where they kind of turned it from.
To be fair, the cartoon was going on at that time, and so
Yeah.
when people went to
Right.
see the movie from the 90s, they're like, this is not the cartoon. What the fuck happened?
I took my kids
So
to
they
this.
course corrected for the second one.
Right, I understand that. But that doesn't change the fact that first movie is the best of them by
Oh, true.
far.
Yeah.
It's not even close. It's so much, you can actually, even through the costumes, see them
Yes.
acting.
Yeah.
You can, like, the voice performances inside the costumes. I don't want to call it a voice performance, Santa, because they are in there speaking. But that and the action sequences they had in those movies with actual martial artists fighting actual people was so much better.
Yeah.
So
A real fight looks, real
Yeah.
fight, but you know what I mean. Looks better.
So yeah, for those reasons, I am on board with the end that I would be much more excited for a return to a live action, although I would be surprised to find that Seth Rogen would put his name behind something that he puts out that turns out to be shitty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still just his production company, and they'll probably just put him as a producer because it's a production company. I don't know how much involvement he'll really have in crafting the Turtles.
I mean, I could use Seth Rogen voicing Michelangelo, though. I could do that.
So,
Getting the Seth Rogen laugh out of Michelangelo. That
did
would be
anyone
great.
besides me and Andy watch the 2007 TMNT animated movie?
Yeah, yeah. It was good. It didn't blow my mind or anything, but it was good.
I still really like 1990s. The first live action Turtles, I think, is by far the best one. I'd put this at number 2 for me.
I'd go 3. I'd still say Out of the Shadows before that one.
And see, maybe I have to watch Out of the Shadows again, but the animated one that they did still holds a special place in my heart. I still really like that one.
It's very good.
Mm-hmm. I'd actually say those 3, and then the rest you can have.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Like, I only care about those
Josh, I'm
3.
actually surprised you hadn't seen that one. You haven't seen the animated one?
No, by that point there had been like a couple different versions of like animated series on TV, and just like I don't know, at the age I was at the
Those were
moment
bad.
and sort of the headspace I was at, I just didn't I stuff like that I can be very affected by the marketing, and
Yeah.
I was watching everything at the time. It was a commercial, it was
Yeah.
a trailer, of course, why not? And the way that it was presented seemed, from what I remember, like it was going to be really boiled down to like a really little kid level. And so, I mean, that's how it came across to me. So I then
Right.
therefore didn't have any desire to watch it.
I think Yeah, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised
Okay.
what happens. And to other sell you on it, Kevin Smith voices in the movie.
I think I did know that
Mhm.
at different points.
He just plays a random diner cook, but he's in there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can set
And
up
it
a
introduces
Ninja
a villain
Turtles
you're
binge
probably not familiar with in any way.
day. What was that, Mike?
Well, I mean, if we go through with the wheel, Josh, the turtles are going to be on the wheel.
They can be on the wheel. That means
They're-
if they're on the wheel,
As
that
a-
means you have to watch Out of Time or Turtles in Time, whatever the hell, the third one from the 90s.
It's just
Right,
it's
yeah.
TMNT 3.
Oh god, the samurai one.
It all exists. Can't
Oh,
be ignored.
We have to get through the first two to get there, but yes, that would be in line.
Theoretically.
Toka Razar. No, what I had said is it introduces a villain you're probably not familiar with. Not introduces, but it deals with a villain you're probably not familiar
Yeah.
with, which is a good thing for that
Yeah.
movie.
But the rest of the voice cast is pretty solid. Chris Evans is in there, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in there, Patrick Stewart's in there,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, like I said,
Nolan North, for any video game fans out there, voices Raphael.
Yep. It's a quality voice
Yeah.
cast for what you would expect from that. And like I said, it like Brian said, but didn't say directly, is much more mature than you're led to believe by the cartoons of the time.
okay.
Yeah.
The cartoons of that time I tried watching, and as an adult, they are garbage. I don't know what I would feel like if I was a kid again. I have not gone back and watched the old Ninja Turtles. Have any of you done that?
Like
Watched the original
cartoon
ones
or
lately?
movies?
The cartoon.
Not the
Not
cartoons, no.
since like my 20s. I found them online somewhere, and I probably watched like 20 episodes or something.
Do you remember? Did they hold up?
I feel like they'd be god awful.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, they would be horrible, like product placement bullshit kind of shit that we were fed. Honestly, the only one I've watched that still holds up so well is the X-Men.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I tried watching Spider-Man. I couldn't get through, like, that early 90s
Yeah.
Spider-Man. I couldn't get through them. I couldn't get through so many of the other ones that are there, the Fantastic Four and the Hulk series, and they have all these things on Disney Plus from the early 90s from Marvel. I tried watching them. I couldn't get through it. But the X-Men still holds up.
Gotcha.
I don't know why that is.
Does in terms of the 2007 animated version, does it, like if I were to just see the movie poster, does the animation look that way the entire time? Because I think I was, to me, the style of the animation can tell me, I think it often tells you a lot about, like the animation in like a preview or on a movie poster for that version did not look very sophisticated. It looked, from a quality standpoint, looked similar to the type of stuff that by that point Disney Channel or Nickelodeon could, bang out on a daily or weekly children's show. And so therefore I correlated the look of that, this sort of simplistic animation look, to the level of maturity or
it's
sophistication
a
that I
lot
thought it would
smoother.
have.
It looks a lot better in motion. Because I'm looking at the posters now,
it's a lot
too.
smoother than you're thinking. That's what I had to do. I had to go back and look at what the poster.
Because there's a specific scene that takes place on the rooftop downtown between two characters in the rain that looks fucking phenomenal.
Okay. I'm watching Fast and Furious movies.
It's an
now.
hour and a half of your life. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah, it is
of
a
your
very
life.
short watch. Yeah, anything to wrap up for this? I don't know if I have any final questions for, other than if anybody, I guess if they do an animated reboot, would you see it? I know some of you prefer live action, but would you see the animated reboot?
Yes, I believe I would.
Okay.
I would consider giving it a shot.
Mike?
I mean, it's Turtles.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch it,
Ian?
even if I would prefer it.
No.
It's
I
done.
didn't see the last one, so I'm not probably going to jump
I don't
in
think it
here.
matters. It's being rebooted.
No, but I didn't see the last set of reboots. Like,
The last ones were live action, is what he's saying, and he didn't even
Fair
watch
enough.
those.
All right. Yeah, I will. I'll be there. I'll check this out for sure. All right. Final topic. This is our video game related topic for this episode. So
This isn't Mission
Bethesda.
Impossible.
So, no, it is not. Bethesda announced on their website that Amazon Studios has licensed the right to the Fallout franchise. They also announced that Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy's production company, Kilter Films, will be producing. Now, admittedly, that's about all I have about this one. I know the video game franchise. I have a very general passing knowledge of it. I've never played the games. I know Josh is completely clueless to this.
Completely.
And I know Ian is a fan. He's played a lot of the games. I think, Andy, you said you've played a couple too?
Yes.
Mike, have you played any of the Fallout games?
I played 3 and a bit of New Vegas.
Okay. So Ian is our Fallout expert. So I'm going to give Ian the opportunity to basically set this up for Josh and see if he can sell Josh on the idea of this franchise as a series on Amazon. So Mike and Andy, your sort of passing knowledge can keep Ian in check if he strays off topic or tries to sell us Waterworld in the form of Fallout.
So that's right. Okay, so wait. So maybe I just misunderstood. Okay, so this a video game franchise being developed into a live action series.
So more or
At
less,
Amazon.
this is video game series is being turned in, or video game franchise being turned into a series. Knowing nothing about this video game franchise, Ian's going to give you the important stuff that you should know
Okay, but
to see if you want to check out this series when it happens.
this might be tough because I do have a pretty negative history bias of video games turned into TV or movies experiences. So
Did you watch The Witcher?
I did, and that was better. But I've also seen Assassin's Creed.
Well, The Witcher also has a pretty good base in actual novels. It's not just a video game show.
Well, I'll admit, when I saw
True.
Mortal Kombat come up on Netflix, I got excited. So you got potential, Ian. Go.
Scorpion's Revenge. Watch it. It's amazing.
So, on a cold, brisk October day, October 23rd, 2077, the unthinkable happened. Nuclear war. So, leading up to the whole Fallout universe, I want to get a little to the backstory. So, basically, leading up to 2077, the Great Resource War happened, where all of the world, we ran out of resources, so we all went to war over what was remaining. We annexed Canada, annexed Mexico, and then basically by the end of it, it's the European Federation, China, and America left. Well, China invades Alaska because there's still some oil there, and then we fight them off because hell yeah, America.
America.
And then 15 years later, the first nukes are launched. We still, to this day, do not know who launched the first nukes, but we do know it doesn't matter because the world is gone.
Wait, what happened to South America? Did we take that too?
God only knows. That hellhole has been gone and lost to the ages. It is so lost that no one has ever written about it. It's never come up in the games.
And Australia kept their mouth shut and everybody forgot they were there. All right.
Well,
go.
Australia's not a real country. Australia's actually just Chile.
They were a glitch in Fallout 76. That's what happened.
So during that, the nuclear war happened. So the vast majority of people were wiped off the face of the earth. So you had about two groups remaining. You had people that survived in some way, your normies, your normal people, but then you also had people exposed to extreme amounts of radiations and they became ghoulified. Now, a ghoul is essentially a person who's just kind of looks like a zombie without all the wounds, someone drained of moisture almost, like the real like green, like kind of green, darker skin, but they don't look like smooth, like the touch. So that's what you have left, like repopulating the earth. So you have that, and then any surviving animal for the most part has been mutated into some weird ass creature that now kills. You know, giant ants, radiation scorpions, stuff like that.
So you do have ghoulies mating.
They're all sterile.
So then, okay, so they're just a defined population that will eventually die off.
But because there's still radiation left over time, you could become ghoulified if you get too close to a radiation source.
Oh, okay.
So they can still get new ghouls that way. But depending on what the time period is, I believe the earliest game starts in, well, I guess now it's 2102, which is 25 years after the Fallout. So even then, yeah, you get it. So that's big picture, that's the universe. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland filled of humans, ghouls, and then the strange creatures, and then trying to rebuild this society. Now, in there, you also have different factions left over. So one of the important ones is called the Brotherhood of Steel. Depending on where you pick and choose where your Brotherhood starts, it's mostly the remaining U.S. military banded together because they no longer had orders. They just went dark when the nuclear war happened. So they banded together and started helping people, but their leaders decided that, man can't be trusted with technology. So the Brotherhood of Steel goes around and gathers all of the old world technology so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, so we don't destroy ourselves again. So you have them. Then you have the Enclave, which is the remnants of the U.S. government. They're a secret, shadowy organization that's supposed to be composed of the last of the U.S. government, and they're doing all this weird shit behind the scenes in order to prolong humanity through their vision of what humanity should still be.
Okay.
Then you have, there's a couple governments still left, so you now have the New California Republic, which, as you can imagine, was a government started in what was California, which is just the basics of humans forming together under a new America, essentially. Democracy. They have a president. There's a House, a Congress. It's pretty normal to what you would imagine if it happened to us. This is how you would bring it back together. Their big thing is not the ghouls are allowed to join. They're not anti-ghoul. There's this other thing called a super mutant. Now, get this. A super mutant is a person that has been dipped into this vat, just like the Joker, but instead of coming out with a smile, they mutate into this big, hideous-looking beast that's 75% muscle, so they're, hunched over. It's like a Hunchback of Notre Dame if they were 6'11". And that is one of the main antagonists of the series, is these super mutants running around. So in the beginning, there was Fallout. And then this is the first game. I'll start there because I think that kind of gets the essential story they would tell. Would either be do the first game or just give you this universe. So in the first game, you live in a vault. So there's this company called Vault Tech that made Fallout vaults that people could go into to be protected for when the nuclear bombs happened. Now, the vault you ended up in, you don't have a water chip anymore. So now you can't make no more new water, so you're all going to die. So they choose one person at random. This person's known as the Vault Dweller, and he gets sent out to explore the nuclear landscape to find a water chip so that his people in the vault can live.
Okay.
So he goes out on an adventure running into a bunch of funny people, having a good time in what is left of the world, while at the same time dealing with, there's a lot of raiders and people doing bad shit when no one's holding them accountable.
Oh.
So there's that overall tone of, so there's humanity rising against the adversity, coming together and forming something new, but at the same time you still have the worst of us dragging us back down to, hey, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you with this stick because you have food.
And any post-apocalyptic conflict happening. Okay.
So the key, though, becomes when you're discovering the water chip, you find the ghoul city, Necropolis, where it's just a bunch of ghouls banded together, because a lot of people don't like ghouls because they look weird, and you don't want to be near them. It's like, fucking ghouls, because there's also ghouls that had, too much radiation, so they still look like ghouls, but they no longer have a mind, so they're actually like zombies and attack all the humans.
Only the humans? They don't attack other ghouls?
They don't attack other ghouls, because they're like, it's a ghoul. Ghoul bro, I know. That's next level. You're already thinking ahead.
So wait, let me pause here.
Yeah.
So how many incarnations, chapters, whatever you call them, of this game are there?
There are 5 main ones, and then there's 2 spin-off tactical games which are no longer canon, and then now there's a new 6th one, which is this open world, everyone plays together online thing that a lot of people don't like. So there's 6 games of content they could really pull the story from.
Okay.
Is New Vegas considered to be part of 3 or 4?
I counted it as its own.
Okay, you count that.
Yeah, that's why I started at 5.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, New Vegas 4.
And then 76
6,
you're calling the new one. Oh, okay.
So,
gotcha. Cool.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Before
Sorry.
I lose myself in too much of the potential detail, what news has been shared about the development of the show? Meaning, have they said anything
None.
about like episode orders, or have they said
No.
it's gonna be 10 episodes to begin with? It's gonna be this.
They signed a deal.
That's
yeah, they
it.
basically said it's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to know.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm
The show's
talking
gonna
so
happen.
broad, because we really have no idea what they're going to do. In my head, they're going to just do The Walking Dead, but in the Fallout universe. I feel like that's the show.
Yeah.
Let's just do that Walking Dead show, but
Well,
ghouls and super mutants.
in the
I feel like it has to have some of the humor, though, that The Walking Dead doesn't have. Some of the cheek that's in Fallout that's not in The
I
Walking
would like
Dead.
that, because that's the thing. Fallout's a very self-aware universe. They do a lot of that. Like in the second game, especially, referenced it was a game multiple times, which, while immersion breaking at the same time, was funny. There's a lot of that humor, like the vault companies. You find out the vaults were built as like a experiment. So instead of actually protecting you, they were running experiments on people, and we don't actually still to this day know why. There was a canceled game where, so this is no longer canon, but the belief was that the Enclave, the remnants of the American government, were building a spaceship to send the last colony of humans out into space to escape this hellscape we've created, and they were going to use the experiments from the vaults to see how they should run that colony ship.
So, and from main game to main game, does the narrative continue, or it's just like a different flavor of a similar idea?
So 1 to 2 connect. Like in the second game, you play the descendant of the first game's protagonist about 100 years later.
Okay.
And then the rest are loosely connected, mostly connected in setting with some minor crossover setup stuff. But for the most part, they're all independent of each other.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the overarching world evolves together. Like from three, it takes place on a different continent than the first two. Not continent, but the East Coast. So there's not as much connection to the first game, but you just still have the same elements going at it, which is why they rebooted it. And then New Vegas, they brought it back to the West and then expanded on what's happened to the New California Republic and the Brotherhood of Steel since then. So they brought them back and like expanded on their stories from the first two games. And then the fourth one took us back to the East Coast.
Okay, so then, all right, so I'll pose this question to you guys who then know the background. So, given that you haven't really been told what the development of this product will end up being, what is it that you think would work well to adapt all of that? And what do you think? What do you think is the approach they should take?
One thing looking at the press release again, I'm gonna pull this quote that I don't know might help give you a tone. Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan released a statement from Kilter Films saying that we're incredibly excited to partner with Todd Howard, who runs Bethesda, and the rest of the brilliant lunatics at Bethesda to bring this massive, subversive, and darkly funny universe to life with Amazon Studios. So that's sort of the tongue-in-cheek humor that Mike was talking about.
Okay.
So it's darkly funny, I think, is a good way to describe it. It's tongue-in-cheek humor, apocalyptic humor, I guess.
It's very self-aware. Like, if you look at the two things I sent you there about the Fallout guy and the Nuka-Cola, it has a very distinguishable art style to the stuff you'll see around that is kind of like... as much as Fallout has in its gameplay and all that, it still makes a statement about how ridiculous the world is and how ridiculous people are. It has a point to make beyond just shoot the zombie thing. And you can get the satirical humor out of those two things, I think, are like the two biggest things in the game that you can draw that out of. Where it's very self-aware and very, like I said, satirical in a lot of ways in the world that it exists.
So have the rest of you played this as... I mean, Brian, you automatically deferred to Ian to kind of be the overseer on this one. So have the rest of you played these as extensively, or do you know the backgrounds?
No, not as much as Ian has.
I know the basics of like sort of what Ian said. The nuclear war happened. I know the games usually start with you emerging from a fallout shelter, and you're just thrust into the universe of trying to make your way and gather materials and survive. But other than that, that's about all I know.
I was waiting for Andy. I'll just throw it out. I've played it. It's like I said, 3 in New Vegas. Ian knows what that means. I don't know if Brian or you know what that means, but it's evolved since then, but it's still the same idea of the world that it exists in. I have an understanding of the deeper narrative. I don't have as much an understanding of as what Ian would. Not at all. At least not as. I mean, he is very much more into Fallout, by my understanding.
Well, to the point that you guys already brought up, it sounds like it could easily be a pit that they could fall in if they simply do, post-apocalyptic, where one of the main struggles is just the shitty side of humanity. As much as I personally feel that Walking Dead lost its way a long time ago, for the first couple of seasons, I would argue that it did that perhaps better than any show or movie really ever got a chance to portray that to especially to the extent that it did, given how long it was on the air. So, and so maybe trying to avoid even pulling that element in. I mean, the stuff that you're talking about, like survival, puzzle solving, almost, missions, effectively. Like, here's the next. I mean, almost not. Part of it's almost got me thinking like The Martian, right? Where in a circumstance, we need to solve pragmatic problem X in order to survive. So we need to find this natural resource. We need to find water. We need to find this computer chip. We need to find a thing. We need to figure out how to solve this problem. That could be, and in that kind of different style setting, that could keep me interested. If they went, fairly quickly just into, okay, again, look at the world crumbled and the darker side of primitive people has come out, and there are just people who, want to watch the world burn and, as you said, kill you with a stick for your food. I think we've seen that so much already.
I think the difference is going to be the humor. I think injecting the humor of the franchise into this is going to set it apart.
You think even if that type of element is present a good amount?
Yeah, I was reading the press release again.
It wouldn't be Fallout without
trying to skim over. So this little paragraph, maybe I'll just read too, which sort of, again, reiterates what Ian said. But the world of Fallout is one where the future envisioned by Americans in the late 1940s explodes upon itself through a nuclear war in 2077. The magic of the Fallout world is the harshness of the wasteland set against the previous generation's utopian idea of a better world through nuclear energy. It is a serious and harsh in tone, yet sprinkled with moments of ironic humor and B-movie nuclear fantasies.
Like, what I would like to see, like, originally, if I'm just talking what I want a Fallout thing to be, I would like them to just go through the stories. But I think to make a good TV show that you can keep doing it over and over again, because eventually the game ends, So if you don't want them to just jump, like, after 4 seasons, we hit that story, let's jump into the next one. If they want to do a thing that can last, I think it would be more something like the Orville, where they're more parodying, like, the greater nuclear holocaust scenario and then using that Fallout style humor in it, where it's more of a thing of the week kind of deal instead of following an overarching real storyline of emerging from your vault and getting the water chip. It's, here's this thing that's happening this week in the nuclear apocalypse, and then sprinkle your humor in like there. Like, there's so much little stuff in the games. Like in Fallout 4, one of my favorite moments was you're exploring this school and you find out, those bandits have been holed up in it, for a couple months, and the one of them, he has a wound that he couldn't close, so it starts getting infected, and over time, like, he starts going a little crazy. He's like, I keep seeing this creature, and he keeps having his underlings, like, search for it and stuff, and then after 2 weeks of this, he starts waking up covered in blood, and he's like, someone's killing these people and then dragging their bodies on me. So he's, like, really freaked out. He's like, I can see the eye of it just staring at me every night. And eventually this creature kills all of his underlings, and you find out it was the bandit leader himself who had gone crazy, killing his own subordinates while wearing the head of the mascot at the school. That was the creature, was the head of this bear mascot for the school they're trapped in, and it's missing an eye. That's why he saw the one eye. And of course, in typical Fallout fashion, you loot it and you start wearing it, and you become the bear man, hunting the nuclear waste, and you get to roleplay that as a while and listen to your guy interact with people while wearing this bear mask. It's things like that. It's like emerging, like they do a lot of set pieces where it's not even a story that detailed. You emerge from a house and you see two skeletons on top of a safe with one holding a knife, knowing that at the very end, when the bombs were going off, they were fighting over who gets what in the safe.
Okay.
It's things like that. Like, even at the end, when we know it's all ending, I still want that money in that safe. You owe me. It's things like that. It's even going back to the time period where, like, there's a whole subplot about because radio was still real big in the Fallout universe in 2077, because we still only had black and white television, so there's still radio dramas going on. And there's a whole story arc you can follow in 4 about the casting of the radio drama in its final days, and the lead star being upset that the monkey's getting more screen time than him. Like, it's little things like that. Like, it's not about... The overall story of Fallout 4 is not that good. I hated the ending. It was... They botched it, but the little stories throughout the universe, all the little things you get is what makes that game worth playing. It's all the little things. That's how 3 is. That's how New Vegas is, too. It's like, the overarching story is solid in those, but the little people you find along the way and the little stories you get to discover are what really makes those games special and makes you feel connected. You feel like something actually occurred here instead of everything revolving around your character. It's like people are actually living in this universe. They don't just live when I can see them.
And the style, too. It's like a 1940s-esque like tech and stuff like that.
Everything still has vacuum tubes. And then if it doesn't have a vacuum tube, it's nuclear powered. Cars are nuclear powered. The power armor, like this big like mech kind of suit thing people wear, is nuclear powered. So that's why there's still a bunch of radiation around, because everything's nuclear powered.
So that's why the press release says it's the generation's utopian idea of a better world through nuclear energy.
Okay.
Like, they did the thing where it's hard to actually predict the future, so they just correctly predicted it wrong, so that no one would judge what the future is like in Fallout. They're like, well, we'll have all these nanotubes, like computers that take up walls, and everything's in black and white still, and all the music's from the 30s. Like, it's not wrong, because it's no way it could be true. So they went with that aesthetic for it, but I think at its core, Fallout's always been funny. Like, it's
I guess
always gone for that.
as a follow-up sort of, Josh, if you're still kind of curious just to see what it like could look like, we could have Ian like handpick you some trailers or a trailer that might give you just a tone or style of the game.
Sure, I'd
to
watch
see
that.
how that might translate into a show.
Okay, I mean, enough of what you guys said has definitely has my attention, and I would be interested to see what they're able to mold it into.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I'm sure we'll revisit whenever they come up with a trailer or something, which is probably a couple years out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as a production company, they're still working on Westworld. They got something else in the pipe. So it's going to be a while.
So, okay, so because Westworld's on HBO, but the same production company will be making this for Amazon.
Yes.
Okay.
And it says that, where did I just read that? They are currently in pre-production on a techno-thriller drama, The Peripheral, based on a novel. They're also producing HBO's Westworld, just wrapped its 3rd season, recently picked up for season 4. And that's all it lists right now. Oh, wait, has produced in it. Oh, that's something else. That's what they did, not what they're working on. So in the works, they're still working on Westworld, and they have another techno-thriller drama that is in pre-production.
I'm not even sure I realized what that really means, but okay.
Yeah, it doesn't list where that's going or what that is, but it's
just
happening.
Black Mirror.
So we sort of sold it to Josh. We'll let you kind of sort of stew on it. Andy and Mike, having a little bit more knowledge of Fallout, what do you guys think about the series? Something you'd be into? Something you check out?
Oh, I'll be watching it.
Andy?
I would definitely watch it. I wonder if it won't have a lot of the dystopian themes that the newest Mad Max movie sort of had. As far as like visual effects,
You can
and
see a
whatnot,
lot of that.
You know,
Yeah.
just a bunch of sects of people that, you know, sort of band together to try and get all their resources and basically survive.
Yeah.
So, and if they make that show sort of even similar to Mad Max, I think they'll have a win.
Fair.
Just
I mean, yeah, I
Add
think
the
everything
humor.
should just be Mad Max.
add the humor of Fallout to it, you know, with the Fallout boy who's hilarious.
Yeah, there's just so many little stories. Like, you can fall upon the kingdom of Dave. You don't have to. It's just literally 8 people living in a place where the king is David, and he became king because he killed his father, who was the president. And he made it a kingdom because why would anyone else be in charge?
Makes sense, I guess.
Kind of reminds me of like it gives me not that it's the same, but the sense of humor always reminds me of sort of like Borderlands, like that kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of humor.
But if it wasn't written by a 12-year-old.
Well, fair. Maybe that's why I like Borderlands humor, because
It's just Borderlands.
That's probably why I
humor
don't.
they never evolved from the first game. They're still making like those same kind of jokes, you know? They never matured beyond that. And even the streamer thing with the new one, they didn't go far enough. I feel like they didn't, you know what I mean? Those characters were just annoying, but not in the way that they should have been annoying, you know?
right.
Like, they should have been annoying because they're these, like, oh, they're Jake Paul, but they weren't annoying because they're Jake Paul. They're annoying because they don't know how to write dialogue.
Yeah, it's like we want to poke fun of that part of the you know, internet culture, but at the same time, they're part of our audience, so we don't want to really offend them.
Yeah, like, they gave streamers this game to play before it came out,
Right.
before they gave it to actual review websites. It's
Yeah.
the problem. But whereas I think the Fallout humor, even though it's not as maybe, I know some people don't like the newer games, they really just stick to the first 2, which was a completely different company even made those. But I think at the core, its humor is more grounded in surrealism. It's not like, oh, pee pee poo poo. That's a weird take on a situation that would normally happen, and they use the apocalypse as their way to set up your Kingdom of David or your mascot killer.
Right. Yeah, you guys got anything else for this one? That was kind of all I had, unless Ian has something else to sell us on. Nothing? Josh, after the pitch, how do you feel? You gonna wait for more details? Intrigued?
Yeah, intrigued enough. I mean, I would just not say, no, don't tell me anymore and never talk to me about this again.
That's actually how most things I pitch on this show go.
So we'll chalk that up as a win for Ian then. Really, the only reason we included this is just to... Well, I know Ian wanted to talk about it, and with Josh on the show, we needed a way to hook him in so that he was somewhat invested in what we were talking about, so I figured the pitch was the easiest way to do that.
Yeah, I like it. It sounds cool.
But that's all I got. If you guys got anything else, we'll wrap it up. Nothing else?
I'm good.
Bring back Bomberman.
Just as a game or
Anything, a concept, a lifestyle.
lifestyle. All right, so
I don't know about the lifestyle remark. You're now being watched by the FBI.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a new thing for me.
Oh, okay. Well.
All right, so if you've enjoyed the show, please support us. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to give us a share on social media. You can follow us, subscribe to us there. Find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Stitcher, hopefully anywhere podcasts are, you can find us. You can find us on Facebook, search Bry Guy and His Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/Bry Guy Super Friends. You can leave us questions, comments, topic suggestions. You can always be the one person that engages us on one of those platforms. You can send us an email, bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. I won't check it. It's there for show. Or tweet us at BGSuperFriends on Twitter. And on behalf of Andy, Ian, Josh, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Love you, Simples.
Flesh lungs.
Look, what's stronger, flesh lungs or iron lungs? It's real simple.
I mean, functional lungs would be like minimally acceptable.
Yeah, so long as
There's two
as long
choices,
as either
flesh
works.
or iron.
There was no door number 3.
This isn't a Monty Hall problem.
I'm calling dibs on flesh lungs for the name of my next band.
I thought it was going to be your nickname.
It could be.
That could be my nickname for this show. I think that's how we've gotten into, is just an ever-evolving nickname.
You know, that's a good enough
every
segue
show.
because I was going to bring up, when I wrote the outline, I was not creative enough to think of like some sort of intro or nicknames like I've been doing for everybody. So I'm open to suggestions. If Josh wants Flesh Lung,
On the way,
See someone else say
no,
it.
I don't care,
Makes
but
it
I
funny.
feel like that has to be
Good old flesh lungs.
It has to be included somewhere in the cold open for it to make sense whatsoever, or else it's
I think it's
just
better
gonna
if
seem
it doesn't, though, because if it's just like good old flesh lungs, Josh Zorich,
or maybe like
everybody's like,
maybe clip some of this and put it at
Flesh
the very
lungs?
end, like the
Yeah,
music.
The man with the
I'll
flesh
I'll
lungs.
decide what gets in and what
Like,
gets in.
like the music starts for like 6 or 7 seconds, and then the audio then comes back in at the end.